Morning everybody. Today we are going to be talking about solving inequalities using addition and subtraction. Now inequality symbols look like these four symbols we have right here. Now we've seen these before. Some of you may remember what they are and some of you may not. This sign right here, this means less than. So this is less than. An easy way to remember that is we can put a line right here and it makes a 4. If that is less than, this must be greater than. Now if we put a line there and it made a 4, if we put a line here, it makes a 7. The 4 is less than 7, so that's how we can remember that this arrow pointing this way is less than. Now this arrow is pointing to the left. So a way that we could graph that on a number line is to draw a circle, then draw an arrow to the left. This line is pointing left. Here we have a less than sign, but we also have this line underneath it. What this line underneath it means is equal to. So we have less than or equal to. Now this is also pointing to the left. So if we make an arrow, it's pointing over to the left. So we can write left here where it says pointing. To draw this, we close our circle and we can draw an arrow to the left. Now the reason I closed that circle is because of this line. This less than sign means we need to draw a closed circle on our paper, or on our number line. Because this does not have a line underneath it, we draw an open circle. That's something we're going to need to remember. Down here we already said that this is greater than. This is pointing in the opposite direction, so the opposite of left is right. Now this doesn't have a line underneath it, so we're going to draw another open circle. And now we're going to draw an arrow pointing to the right. Here we have the greater than sign again. So we can write greater than. We also have a line underneath it, which means or equal to. This is also pointing to the right. So if we want to draw an arrow in our greater than sign, it shows that we're pointing to the right. This has the line underneath it, or the equal sign, so we need to close our circle and draw to the right. Now over here we can put some numbers in here. Always remember to keep the variable on the left side. So the variable or the letter needs to be on the left side. How we would draw this or graph it on our number line, f is less than 19. So what we can do is, this is a less than sign, not a less than or equal to. So we draw a open circle, and our less than sign is pointing to the left. So we draw our arrow to the left. Now we label that 19, and we can label either side whatever comes before and after 19, so 18 and 20. Now what this arrow says is that anything that is less than 19 would equal F. So you could put whatever you wanted to into this F, or in for this F, as long as it's less than 19. This open circle means it cannot be 19. That's why we have an open circle there. Now here, our variable is on the right. So what we can do is we can take our equation and flip it. Oh, there we go. So now we have a flipped equation. The variable is now on the left. So now we have x is greater than or equal to 1. The greater or the equal sign is now on the top, but we can just think of that as the equal sign should be on the bottom. So since it's equal to, we have to draw a closed circle. It's now pointing to the right, so we draw an arrow to the right. And we label it 1, and then 2, and 0. What this closed circle is saying is that it can also be 1 and anything above it. So it can be 1 and anything that is greater than 1. It cannot be anything below 1. Just like up here, it cannot be anything above 19. Here we have w is greater than or equal to -4. So we can draw a closed circle because it's or equal to. The line is pointing to the right, so we draw our arrow to the right. What we have is -4, so we label that as -4. Now we put something on either side. What goes on this side, on the left side of the -4, has to be smaller than -4. And if we remember, -5 is the less than 4, is the one less than 4. That means -3 is greater than -4 because it's closer to 0. So anything that is either -4 or greater than -4 would answer this problem. Alright, now we are basically going to be solving equations, but instead of an equal sign, so instead of this equal sign here, we're going to now have inequalities. So what we have is x plus 4 equals 7. We need to get x by itself, so we have to subtract 4 and subtract 4. We do the same thing on both sides. So now our 4's cancel out. X equals 7 minus 4, which is 3. Now when we graph an equation on our number line, all we need is a dot, because that's all this is saying is that whatever x is going to be 3. So x equals 3. This would be 3. Just to make it clear, this could be 4, and this could be 2. So x equals 3. Here, all we can do is think of this as an equal sign. So we subtract 4 just like we did on the other side. Subtract 4 from both sides. What we get is x is less than 7 minus 4, which is 3. Now it's less than, so when we graph this, we need to put a open circle because it's less than, and it's pointing to the left. So we have 3, 4, and 2. So anything that is less than 3 would answer our problem here. If you need to remember, the less than and the greater than signs are both open circles. The less than or equal to or the greater than or equal to are both closed circles. That line makes the difference. If you see a line, you know that you can put a closed circle. So now down here, x plus 12 is greater than or equal to negative 14. So to solve that, we need to get x by itself. X plus 12, the opposite of that is x minus 12, and minus 12 over here. So the 12s cancel out. We're left with x is greater than or equal to negative 14 minus 12, which is negative 26. Now how we graph that is we just pick wherever we want on our number line. We know we have a greater than or equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle. And we say that this is negative 26. The arrow is pointing to the right, so we draw an arrow to the right. Around it, we're going to have negative 27 and negative 25. This shows that x has to be greater than or equal to negative 26. So it can be anything from negative 26 and up. It cannot be anything below negative 26. Over here, we have to get m by itself. So we do the opposite of minus, which is add. We add 3. So these 3's cancel out. We get m is less than or equal to 8.4 plus 3, which is 11.4. So how we graph that is we also have a less than or equal to sign. So we have the or equal to. So we draw a closed circle. This is going to be 11.4. So the arrow is pointing to the left, so we draw a left pointing arrow. Now these numbers on either side could be whatever you want to, as long as on this side it's lower and this side is higher. So we could put 11 on this side and 12 on the other side, or 11.3 or 11.5. As long as they are lower on the left side and higher on the right side. M is less than or equal to 11.4, so anything that is less than or equal to 11.4 would answer our problem here. Now take a look at this one. We could do this, but we need to get the variable on the other side. We need to get the variable on the left. So we could flip this, but now I have 6 minus 8x. So what we can do is just bring it back like this. And we can rewrite this problem. X minus 9. Now we're going to flip the sign. So instead of greater than, now it's going to be less than sign. Negative 14. So whenever we're trying to get the variable on the left, we're just flipping the sign. So x minus 9 is less than negative 14. So we add 9, and we add 9. Now these 9's cancel out. What we have left is x negative 14 plus 9, which is negative 5. So x is less than negative 5. So we have a less than sign, no equal sign. So we draw an open circle. And the arrow is now pointing to the left, so we can draw an arrow to the left. -5 goes below our circle. On either side, the greater than, or the higher number would be -4, and the lower number would be -6. So anything that is less than -5 would answer our equation. Alright, let's go on. Now we are going to solve inequalities using multiplication and division. So true or false? -5 is less, 5 is less than 6. That's true. We know that because if we multiply by 1, we multiply both of these by 1, we get 5 times 1, which is 5, is less than 6 times 1, which is 6. This is going towards the bigger number, so 5 is less than 6. Now, it says multiply or divide by a negative number. So if I multiply by -1 and -1, now I have 5 times -1, which is -5, is less than -6. Now, that's not quite right. -5 is greater than -6. So, what we need to do is this cannot stay like that. We need to flip it. So -5 is greater than, let me just erase this here. -5 is greater than -6. So when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, flip the inequality symbol. So what I did here was I flipped the less than and made it into a greater than sign. So when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, flip the inequality symbol. Now this only works if we're multiplying or dividing. So if we're adding and subtracting, we don't flip it. It's only when we're multiplying and dividing. Down here, we have -3k is less than 21. So to get k by itself, we have to divide by -3. Now these -3's cancel out. We get k and -7. But we divided by a negative number. So instead of less than now, we have to flip it and make it greater than. So how we would graph that would be -7 here. It's greater than, so it's an open circle. Now it's pointing to the left. So we point our arrow to the left. So -8 and -6. K is less than -7. So anything less than -7 would answer our equation. Here we have m over 4. The opposite of division is multiplication, so we need to multiply by 4. And multiply by 4. Now we're not multiplying by a negative number, so we don't need to touch our sign. So what we get is m is less than, or greater than, or equal to -24. Now even though we got a negative, we didn't multiply by a negative number, so we leave the sign like it is. So this is a greater than or equal to, so it's a closed circle. The arrow is pointing to the right, so we point our arrow to the right. we get negative 24. On this side, we would have negative 23, the higher number, and negative 25, the lower number. So anything that is greater than or equal to negative 24 would answer our equation here. Here we have to get x by itself by dividing by 2, and divide by 2. So x is less than 13. Now take a look. The x is on, or the variable is on our right side. So we always need to get it over to the left side. So again, we can flip it to be x is greater than 13. So x is greater than 13 now. It's a greater than sign, so it's an open circle pointing to the right. So we have a 13 here. The greater than 13 is 14, and less than is 12. So anything that is greater than 13 would answer our equation. Here are just some extra practice problems. X divided by 3 is less than negative 8. Multiply by 3 to do the opposite. And multiply by 3 over here. X is now less than negative 24. So negative 24. Open circle. Oh, I drew that to the wrong side. So x is greater than negative 24. So negative 23 here and negative 25 here. Here we're multiplying again but now we're multiplying by a negative number. So if we're multiplying by a negative number, we need to flip our sign. So now x is going to be less than negative 24. So again, we have negative 24 here. Another open circle. But now we're pointing the opposite direction because we multiplied by a negative number. So anything less than negative 24 would answer our problem. Here we have 8 plus y equals 21. So again, we need to get y by itself by subtracting 8, or the opposite of positive. Subtract 8. Y equals now 21 minus 8, which is 13. Now we have a y equals, so all we need to do is draw a point at 13. There's no arrows because we don't have an inequality symbol. We have an equal sign. So just a point at 13. Just a point there. Down here, our x is on the right side, so we need to get it to the left side. So we can rewrite that as x minus 9. Flip the sign, so instead of less than or equal to, it's now going to be greater than or equal to 10. So we're going to add 9 and add 9. So x is now greater than or equal to 19. Now it's greater than or equal to, so it's a closed circle pointing to the right. So we have 19 anything that is greater than or equal to 19 will be our answer. Here we have to divide by 7 to get x by itself. Divide by 7. So x equals negative 49 divided by 7, which is negative 7. So our negative 7 goes here. This is now negative 6 and negative 8. It's equal to, so it's just one dot, no arrow. Last one on this slide. We have a negative 8 times h is less than or equal to negative 64. So we need to divide. Now we're dividing by a negative number. So that means we also need to flip the sign. So h is less than, oh, sorry, not less than anymore. We have to flip the sign. Takes a little bit to get used to. But now we have a negative number, so flip the sign. H is now less than or equal to 8. Two negatives make a positive. 64 divided by 8 is 8. So we need to close our circle because we have it equal to. This becomes 8, 9, and 7. That arrow is now pointing to the left. So we draw an arrow to the left. Alright, we got one more slide here. Alright, our last two problems are word problems. So it says you received a $25 off coupon to a sporting goods store in the mail. You're looking at a basketball and want to spend no more than $15 of your own money. Write and solve an inequality to find the price of a basketball that you can buy. What is the most expensive basketball you can buy? So we don't know our price. That's going to be our x. We have a $25 off coupon, so we can subtract 25 from whatever our price is. And we want to spend no more than $15. So $15 is our price limit. So that means that x has to be less than or equal to, because we can spend $15, 15. So x minus 25 is less than or equal to $15. So we add 25, and we add 25 here. Those cancel out. X has to be less than or equal to $40. What this means is that our price can be anything less than or equal to $40. $40 is the most expensive basketball that we can buy. Down here, it says a student pilot plans to spend 80 hours on a flight training to earn a private license. The student has saved $6,000 for training. What inequality can you use to find the total possible hourly rates are that the student can afford to pay for training? So we know that he plans to spend 80 hours. We know also that he has $6,000 in savings. Now if we're trying to find per hour, our R is going to go with the 80 from the 80 hours. Now we know that he can't spend more than $6,000 because that's all the money he has. So what we have to have is less than or equal to. He can spend $6,000 because that's how much he has saved, but he can't spend over that. So if we divide this by 80 to get R by itself, R is less than or equal to 75. What we can cancel out right away just from our inequality can't be 6,000R, so we can cross out C and D. We decided that it couldn't be greater than, because that would mean that he would have to have more money spent up, so it can't be A. So it has to be B. So ADR is less than or equal to $6,000. Just a little fun fact, it says Jonathan Strickland is the youngest black pilot, age 14, to set world records for piloting 6 airplanes and 1 helicopter on the same day. Wow. There's a picture of him right there with his helicopter. He piloted 6 airplanes and 1 helicopter on the same day. That's insane. Alright, thank you for listening. Go grab your worksheet, and I'll see you tomorrow.